तपस्वाध्यायनिरतं तपस्वी वाग्विदाम्बरं नारदं परिपप्रच्छ वाल्मीकिर्मुनिपुङ्गवम् कोऽन्वस्मिन् साम्प्रतं लोके गुणवान् कश्च वीर्यवान् धर्मज्ञश्च कृतज्ञश्च सत्यवाक्यो दृढव्रतः चारित्रेण च को युक्तः सर्वभूतेषु को हितः विद्वान् कः समर्थश्च कश्चैकप्रियदर्शनः आत्मवान् को जितः क्रोधः द्युतिमान् को न सूयकः कस्य बिभ्यति देवाश्च जातरोषस्य संयुगे एतदिच्छाम्यहं श्रोतुं परं कौतूहलं हि मे महर्षे त्वं समर्थोऽसि ज्ञातुमेवं विधं नरम् श्रुत्वा चैतत्रिलोकज्ञः वाल्मीकिर्नारदो वचः श्रूयतामिति चामन्त्र्य प्रहृष्टो वाक्यमब्रवीत्. We have seen up to here in these first 6 verses, the opening verses of Valmiki Ramayana. We have here a context being created in which Sage Valmiki asking Sage Narada this golden question. A question in which he is looking for the epitome in humaneness. A human being who lives a human life, the human way, feeling and facing all human experiences and yet remaining above it all. Remaining someone who carries a certain stature, a certain grounding, a certain rootedness. Is such a person really simply an imagination, a figment of imagination, or is such a person possible in human living? I always say that a human life, when you look at the growth of a human being from birth to adulthood, we always talk about growth in terms of physical and cognitive and also emotional growth. Physical growth is known to us, very tangible, very visible, from that little baby born 2 pounds in weight and what he turns out to be ultimately is all a miracle of physical growth, is it not? So physical growth from childhood to adulthood is a normal what you call process. But then when you talk about physical excellence, that requires human intervention, human effort, human diligence, human commitment to having those special skills that makes him what we call a person with physical excellence, is it not? Cognitive growth, yes, we are born, a little baby doesn't even understand that if mom is not next to me, she is in the next room, he doesn't understand even that much when he is little. Mother gone means she's disappeared into nothingness. and he screams and cries and weeps and wails for his caretaker. From that cognition, that level of rudimentary cognition, to grow into an adult and get your degree that now you're cognitively, you are educated, you're intelligent, you can live your life, you can understand, you can abstract, you can postulate, you can theorize, you can deduce, you can conclude. Tremendous skills we pick up in our, supported by school education, don't we? That is for for cognitive adulthood. But for cognitive excellence, there will be a few who will move into that stature of cognitive excellence in which he will be known for his ingenuity, he will be known for some discovery, some breakthroughs, and that cognitive excellence is what bright people work towards. So too, emotional childhood to adulthood. Childhood, you know what is emotionally being a child. But when a physically grown adult behaves like a child, then we say he's childish. He's immature. So there seems to be a stature of emotional adulthood, a certain minimum required in which we have a skill to be able to live a life with a good, healthy, decent interpersonal relationships with the loved ones, with those around us. But what does it take to move from emotional adulthood to emotional excellence? What does it take? It is very interesting to know that physical adulthood to physical excellence, humanity has some common parameters. We have all agreed that those who make it to the Olympics, right? They are people with super physical fitness, and physical excellence is one who holds that gold medal, right? That is an Olympic champion. And anywhere on this planet, when the Olympics are on, which is that country who will not eagerly look to see who is that champion who has physical excellence? We all do. And we all acknowledge because our parameters are common. Am I right? When it comes to cognitive excellence, it is no different. Human beings have arrived at what we call the Nobel laureate. Who are those souls who become Nobel Prize winners? They are souls of some brilliance, and their work is so much revered and accepted in society. And so Nobel laureate is the parameter for cognitive excellence. Just because somebody has physical excellence, he need not have cognitive excellence. Just because somebody has cognitive excellence, he may be physically fragile too. One does not mean the other is also there, but these two are very clear to us. When you come to knowing emotional excellence, from an emotional adulthood to emotional excellence, does humanity have a common parameter? Do we send people for competitions in emotional excellence? We don't even know what that means. It's very interesting to know that to date we have not arrived at common parameters where all of humanity will stand together and acknowledge and revere because he won a gold medal in emotional excellence. It sounds funny even for me to say this. Think about it. Sage Valmiki's question to Narada doesn't come from nowhere. It is that gap, that crack, that missing connect in knowing that such a person did live on earth, who could be talked about as a man with emotional excellence. And that is why this Sri Rama Avatara, this great incarnation, is not something you can just brush aside as a thing of the past. In fact, he becomes our archetype. He becomes our hero. He becomes somebody to know who this soul was. Because he shares with us a life of emotional excellence. That is the reason why Valmiki's question is so profound, so dear, so much the need of a time, of any time in human history, because these qualities have not changed that define the parameters of emotional excellence. This is precisely the same question Arjuna asks in Bhagavad Gita, Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha samadhisthasya keshava sthita dhihi kim prabhasheta kim asita vrajeta kim. Sthita prajna means a person who is grounded, who is stable, who has this awakening about knowing who he truly is. How does he live in this world, in this human body? How does he walk? How does he talk? How does he behave? How does he sit? Is there any way we can get to know such a person and make this soul a hero for us to emulate? Is Arjuna's question in the next yuga. Well, in answer to Valmiki's great question, Sage Narada responds. Valmiki puts out his own few qualities, as I mentioned to you in the last class, and when 16 qualities, but when the reply comes in 68 qualities, in which he doesn't just talk about the emotional excellence, but he begins with his physical qualities.